Have you ever wondered why Election Day is held on a Tuesday in November? Once upon a time, America was predominantly a farming society. By November, farmers would have already harvested their crops. So, lawmakers decided that November was probably the easiest month for farmers to travel to the polls and vote.
November is the best time for you to vote.
Most farmers in America had to travel a long distance in order to vote. Monday wasn't considered a good voting day, since many people would have to begin travel on Sunday, and this would have conflicted with church services. So, they decided on Tuesday. This practice continues until today, and every 4 years, Americans vote on the Tuesday following the first Monday in November.
Hello, Sarah. It's me, your favorite teacher, Mr. Appleby.
Hi, Mr. Appleby. Where did you come from?
From below.
Okay.
Sarah, did you know that when Americans vote, they are not voting directly for the president? On Election Day, voters are actually voting for a group of people from their state called electors. These electors cast their state's official votes for president.
So, the person who wins a simple majority gets the entire of that state's votes?
Yes.
No. I totally didn't know that.
Well, now you know.
Have you ever wondered what it might be like to be president? In today's story, children share their ideas of what life might be like as the nation's commander-in-chief. If I Were President, written by Catherine Stair and illustrated by Deanne DeSalvo Ryan. It would be great to be President of the United States. If I were president, that means after a big campaign with speeches and posters and TV ads, the people would have chosen me as their leader. Years of planning and hard work would have prepared me for that day. If I were president, I'd promise to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, because that would be my job. Then I'd move to a mansion called the White House, with more than 100 rooms, and I'd have to remember my new address, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. If I were president, I could go bowling or visit a movie theater without ever leaving my house. I'd have my own chef and could eat whenever I wanted. I could even have 2 desserts every night. If I were president, I'd start work early each morning in the Oval Office. Although I try to do what's best for my country, not everyone would agree with my decisions. But I'd get help making those decisions from a group of people called my cabinet. If I were president, the people would be my boss, and I'd have to find out what they wanted. It wouldn't be easy. Different people would want different things. If I were president, I'd be in charge of the armed forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. If I were president, each year I'd give a speech to Congress called the State of the Union. All over the country, people would be watching and listening. I'd talk about how our country was doing and suggest ways to solve our problems. Imagine creating laws for a whole country. That's something Congress and I would work on together. Congress would present bills, which are ideas for new laws. If I didn't like an idea, I'd say no. That's called a veto. But if I agreed, I'd sign the bill and make it a law. If I were president, the agents of the Secret Service would guard me. Everywhere I'd go, they'd go too. If I were president, I'd comfort families that had been in an earthquake, hurricane, or flood. Then, I'd help them rebuild their town. If I were president, one of my favorite jobs would be passing out medals to people who had done brave deeds. If I were president, in the spring, I'd toss the first pitch of the baseball season. And in winter, I'd light the nation's holiday tree. If I were president, my words and picture would appear in newspapers and magazines all over the world. Even my dog would make headlines. If I were president, the house I grew up in would be famous. People would ask my mom for a tour of everything, even my treehouse. If I were president, I'd travel in my limousine or in my own private airplane, Air Force One. I'd meet with the leaders of other nations. Maybe together we could work to improve our world. If I were president, the people could only elect me twice. That's 8 years altogether. Then I'd have to find a new job and a new house. Soon, a new president with different ideas would move into the White House. But, just like me, the new president would work hard for the good of the country. If I were president, they might someday make a statue of me, like the white marble statue of Abraham Lincoln in the Lincoln Memorial, or the president's heads carved into Mount Rushmore. Or someday my face might show up on the country's money. Did you know President Lincoln is on the penny, President Jefferson is on the nickel, and President Washington is on the dollar bill? And who knows, someday I just might be President of the United States. If you like today's story, then you might also like Grace for President, written by Kelly DiPuccio and illustrated by Liyun Pham. When Grace's teacher reveals that the United States has never had a female president, she immediately starts off her political career as a candidate in the school's mock election. Grace's opponent is the smart, popular, athletic Thomas. Can Grace get enough votes and win her school election? Well, you'll just have to read it to find out.
Well, Mr. Obama, the election is finally over, but yet we meet again. Yes, Mr. Romney, we meet again. I think we are being watched. Time for a quiz, kids. Why is Election Day held in November? Is it A, November was the easiest month for farmers to travel to the polls and vote? B, lawmakers like the word November? Or C, I don't know, November was when we always voted? If you guessed A, then you are correct. Once upon a time, November was probably the easiest month for farmers in America to head to the polls and vote. Hey, Mr. Obama, I know you won the election and you'll be busy being president and all, but do you think that maybe one day we can be friends? Yes, we can!